Morning, Mike. You look unusually cheerful.
I've just had a call from one of my clients. They've had one of these fancy penetration tests done.
Oh, yeah? How did it go?
Not great, apparently. The report was full of red boxes and words like critical exposure and immediate action required.
That sounds serious.
Yeah, but it's not really my area, is it? That's cybersecurity consultancy. You know the type. They come in with a fancy software, scan a few things, terrify the client, and charge them about $5,000.
Mike, you're their MSP. You're supposed to stop those red boxes from happening.
Hang on a sec, Jonathan. We do patching every few months or so. I send them a report with a few green ticks on. Job done. I can't help it if their fancy scanning tool don't like the printers.
They're printers?
Yeah, apparently one of the printers was visible on the internet. I told them just to unplug it. Sorted.
Mike, you can't keep treating security like a DIY project.
Hey, if these consultants want to do their thing, let them get on with it. I'll stick to my thing.
Okay, Mike, but what if I showed you a way to do their thing without the consultants and without the price tag?
Jonathan, I'm listening, but if this involves on a subscription, I'm out.
Trust me, Mike, this one pays for itself. The product, it's called Roboshadow, and they are today's Takeover Tuesday. The thing is, Mike's not unusual. Most MSPs, they're brilliant at patching, keeping systems up to date, sending reports, and making sure everything looks healthy. But vulnerability management, that's always felt like a completely different world. The kind of thing that only expensive consultants get involved in. The ones with their own scanners, a few scary acronyms, and a bill that makes your eyes water. And to be fair, you can see some vulnerability right inside Microsoft 365 already. Defender for Endpoint, Intune, and Secure Score all show you bits of the puzzle. Missing patches, weak configurations, outdated apps. The problem is, it's all scattered. You've got one view in Defender, another in Intune, and another in Secure Score. And none of it is designed for MSPs managing multiple clients. The thing is, you just don't get a single dashboard showing everything. Things like external scans, internal scans, benchmark scores, and what's actually exploitable right now. So that's the gap. And that is where Roboshadow steps in. It takes the same kind of insight that those expensive pen testers use. Scanning your client's external attack surface, internal networks, and compliance risks. And it puts it all in one place, right alongside Microsoft 365, Intune, and Defender data. It doesn't just find vulnerabilities, it can fix them automatically using Winget. And it gives you clean, branded reports that you can actually show your clients. So instead of outsourcing vulnerability management, MSPs can finally bring it in-house without needing a team of security consultants or a massive budget. Oh, and if you hang about on Reddit, you've probably seen Roboshadow mentioned a few times. It's become a bit of a favourite for being simple, accurate, and having low-noise vulnerability data that MSPs can trust. So that's the gap. Microsoft gives us bits of the picture, but not the full story. Now, I've spoken enough. Let's jump into Roboshadow and see how it actually fills that visibility gap. We're going to start with the dashboard and external scans. Now, before I get into the full Roboshadow demo, I thought this would be a really good place to start. This visual gives you a good idea, a great idea, into what Roboshadow can actually do, okay? You've got your external attack surface, what shows you exactly what in your business is exposed to the internet. Roboshadow also integrates with loads of antivirus tools, okay? It's got Defender, but also lots of third-party tools as well. Plus, you've got an internal LAN scanner, okay? Again, integrates beautifully, as we're going to learn later in this video, with the Microsoft platform. As an MSP, you've got ticket integrations into most PSAs, if not all PSAs on the planet. You've got your compliance exports. Look at all this. We've got Cyber Essentials, we've got NIST, we've got ISO, we've got all these. And we've got excellent testing and reporting. There's also a Windows agent, okay? There's a Mac agent, and as you can see here, there's also a Linux agent as well coming along. It has third-party patching. You can fix vulnerabilities. It really is a complete cyber platform that you can use in your MSP. I think this visual explains it perfectly. So let's now hop into the product. Okay, you've waited long enough. So this is the Roboshadow dashboard, and this is where everything comes together. Now, straight away with this dashboard, you can instantly see your client's overall security posture. You're not bouncing between different Microsoft portals. It's also worth noting that the data you're looking at is real data for a real customer. Okay, it's not a test environment or anything like that. This data has been obfuscated. These company names are made up, and as you can see, IP addresses, things like that have all been blanked out. Okay, but this is real data. We've got the application vulnerabilities. You can see the vulnerable devices, the vulnerable apps, the CVEs. Scrolling down a little bit more, you can see the vulnerability scanner results. So you've got IP addresses, website domains, and vulnerabilities there. The antivirus. So as I said, it pulls in from Windows Defender. It also integrates with third-party applications. Again, we've got all these active threats linked to the antivirus. Oldie but a goldie. We all need it. Windows updates. Okay, so these are all visible as well. We've got the results of the LAN scanner. This is all within the dashboard. And we've got hardware stuff as well. Okay, so we've got some unencrypted laptops. We've got low disk space, unencrypted servers, and then we've got more integration here with 365, which we're going to look at later on. Okay, scroll up to the top again. The next area we're going to look at is external scanning. So, as I've said already, the external attack surface view shows you exactly what's exposed to the internet. We can look at hosts, we can look at the open ports, there's nothing listed here, and the CVEs. You've also got domains, public IPs, open ports, SSL issues, okay, and outdated software versions. We've got the RoboGuard, which is a continuous scan on automation. We've got all these scans taking place. If I just go back to the dashboard, we can scroll down here to look at all these scans that have happened, okay? What about this one here, look? This has picked up 34 CVEs. I can then look into this scan, and we can see everything that's going on. We can drill into these, okay? It gives us more information. Scrolling down again. Port 22, vulnerable. Let's have a look at this. And a list of all the CVEs. Scrolling back up. Web vulnerabilities. And there we go, look. Plus, here, look, we can click on any of these, and it'll take us to a different page where we can have a look. And it gives us the solution, okay? So we can close these security loops really easily. These are the things what a penetration tester would be looking at first. But as you can see, in your MSP, you can run it by yourself at any time. You can even offer this as part of your managed service. It's simple, it's fast, and it gives you that visibility that I know a lot of MSPs have been missing. It's worth mentioning as well with Roboshadow, they actually grew out of the UK government's GCHQ NCSC for Startups programme. Now, this has helped them build, secure, and grow this platform. So it's not just another random tool. It's actually been built with proper security engineering at its core. Of course, visibility, it's just half of the problem. The other big challenge for MSPs is all those unmanaged or forgotten devices. You know the ones. Laptops that never get enrolled in Intune. The old desktop computer under reception. No one dares switch that off. Or that temporary PC that's been running the corner for 5 years. These are the machines that usually don't show up anywhere. Not in Defender, not in Intune, not in your patch reports. and they're often the exact entry points an attacker would go after. Now, when a pen tester comes in and finds that machine, it's always the same story. We didn't even know that device existed. But Roboshadow, it can scan your internal network for IoT or other devices connected to the LAN. Plus, it can pull in data from Microsoft 365, Intune, and Active Directory. So instead of hoping everything's enrolled, you can see everything that's present on your network. So this is where Roboshadow starts to go beyond just visibility. If I go to Cloud 365 Sync, you can see here, look, we've got the Enter ID connector, we've got Microsoft Defender connector, and we've got Intune integration. This means you can connect directly to a client's Microsoft 365 tenant, and it's going to automatically pull in data, as I've said, from Defender, Intune, Enter ID. When you sync with Defender, you're going to import all the Defender CVEs, as well as data on the antivirus and ransomware protection, okay? And then all that can be managed through Roboshadow CyberHeal. So what this means for your MSP, you're not just seeing what's enrolled in Intune, you're seeing all the data that exists across the various different Microsoft services, and you're seeing them all in one place, which means that you can cross-check for any gaps in protection, okay? If we go look a bit further, go into Intune here. So here, Roboshadow is pulling in Intune data. So what we can see here, look at the top, this is a report over the last 7 days. So here are all the Intune compliance issues. We've got Windows, Android, iOS, Linux, other. You can see here, look, the setting name, the device, the compliance time, and the state, not compliance. Okay, we've got different states there. This one's in grace period. We've also got a missing Intune devices. So this connects to the Intune via API, and you can see that these devices aren't in Intune. Okay, you can click on that, you get a bit more information there. Okay, moving on to risks here, and you can see here, look, we've got a user, she's at risk, risky detections, risky sign-ins. We've got unlikely travel, unfamiliar features. So again, all that is getting pulled in. Okay, we've got unmanaged sign-ins. These are the unmanaged sign-ins. It says here, look, these are sign-ins that come from users who are signing in on a device in your business that's not enrolled in Active Directory or Intune, okay? Single all sign-ins. Again, no data for this tenant, but what it does, sign-ins from users that only have single-factor authentication, so there's no MFA. So again, it's important to know which users are signing in without MFA. So let's have a look at Azure 365 MFA. So look at all this information we've got here in this tenant, 173 users without MFA, goodness me. So a lot of users here. We've got guests without MFA. And then we drill down, we look at all the global admins. And we can see lots of information that is pulled in, okay? We've got all this information here that we can interrogate and we can use to help secure our business, okay? It's just really good information, isn't it? We can export to PDF and things like that. Something else I'd really like to show you. This is interesting. Microsoft 365 CIS Benchmarks. Okay, isn't this interesting? So this is the CIS Benchmarks from Microsoft 365. And what Roboshadow is doing is checking all our tenancy against the level 1 and the level 2 benchmarks. And you can see here, look, if we scroll down, these things aren't in place on our tenant. This is failed. So this is a DMARC record. It's not in place for Exchange Online. Okay, so we know we need to go in and fix that. Click on the drop down. We've got a lot more information. So there's a lot of domains going on here, and we can see that DMARC just isn't registered. So there's a lot of work to do there. But with some of these, you can see it says fix no, but look at this. Ensure that only organizational managed approved public groups exist. There's a little button here. So what Roboshadow can do is actually go in and fix these problems for us, okay? Imagine just onboarding a tenancy into here, and you can see if I scroll down, you see we've got a lot of things that have passed, so these are in place. So imagine onboarding a tenancy, and immediately as an MSP, we can see that all these things are wrong, and we can say, look, we can align you to the Microsoft 365 CIS benchmarks, and a lot of these, we don't even have to log into the tenancy to do. We can just go through these and we can fix them, okay? I think that's a really great feature in Roboshadow. Okay, moving on. Let's have a look at the device engagement here, look. Go down to devices. You can see here are all the managed devices in the business. We can see the last user. I can click on here. I get lots of options. We can install software. We can deploy MSIs. We can do lots of things. Click on here. And this takes us further into the device. So Roboshadow isn't an RMM. It's not trying to be an RMM, but it's got a lot of tools that you might find in an RMM. Okay, so this is this device here. We've got all the information. We can shut down the machine. We can restart it. As I said, we can install software. We've got all the OS updates on here. Crucially, as well, we've got the vulnerabilities for this machine, all listed here. Okay, we're going to talk about fixing these vulnerabilities later in the video. Let's have a look. We've touched on it already, but let's look at antivirus. And we've got all the information. Okay, so we've got all the Windows Defender information. We've got all the stats. We've got all the active threats. It's all getting pulled in. As I said, we're not looking at loads and loads of different portals. We're just looking in Roboshadow. Again, let's have a look at device vulnerabilities. And we've got all the vulnerabilities here. Again, talking about fix later. A really useful tool. And I think a lot of people have actually started using Roboshadow because of the LAN scanner. It's a really popular feature. So all we do here, we select a device from the drop down and we can do a scan. It's going to do a LAN scan. It's going to find the IoT devices. It's going to find the vulnerabilities. This data has been obfuscated out, but you can see here, look, there might be devices that this finds on the local LAN that we didn't know about. Okay, so it's really important for us as an MSP to get those devices and manage them properly. Again, we've got scan history, RoboGuard, so we can just set up a continuous scan, so it scans every day. It might pick up some new devices. This is a great tool. It's a great tool to add to your MSP armory. So, by this point, you've got full visibility. You know what's out there, what's vulnerable, and what's missing from Intune. And that's great, until you realise how much there is to fix. Because as I know, the real problem for MSPs is time. Finding vulnerabilities is easy. Fixing them across multiple clients with different apps, operating systems, and patch schedules. Every MSP has the same story. You patch Windows, but the real gaps are in the third-party software. Old versions of Zoom, Adobe Reader, Java, all sitting there, quietly undermining your security reports. And sure, you can fix all this manually, or maybe through your RMM if you've scripted everything perfectly. But it can be slow, inconsistent, and it takes your team off the stuff that makes you money. That is where Roboshadow changes the game. It doesn't just find vulnerabilities, it can actually fix them automatically, using Winget to update third-party apps and Windows itself. You can even set rules to control the rollout, so it just updates gradually, not all at once, just in case a bad patch comes along.
I mean, that never happens, doesn't it?
Basically, it's like having your own vulnerability management team. Only this one, it works 24/7. Plus, this one don't complain about Patch Tuesday. So, let's take a look at something called autofix. Okay, I think this is one of the most impressive parts of Roboshadow. So instead of Roboshadow just flagging problems, with autofix, you can fix them automatically. Okay, so here we've got some suggested rules. So Roboshadow uses Winget, so it can patch or upgrade hundreds of popular applications automatically. Things like Zoom, Chrome, 7-Zip, and Adobe Reader. Okay, so here, look, we've got some suggested rules. And we've got lots and lots of these. Okay, look at all these that have been suggested by Roboshadow. I can click on one of these. So let's have a look at the WatchGuard one here. All these autofix rules are under our control. Okay, you can see all the options here. We've got to name it. We can select if we want the device to restart. We can exclude servers. And this bit here is really good, look. It just means everything is under our control. So what we can do, we can delay rollouts. So we can limit updates to a few devices every day. And as I said, we can exclude servers entirely. So with this feature here, day 1, 5 devices, day 2, 15, day 3, 50. This gives us an ability to test patches safely before they go client-wide, okay? And everything gets tracked in Roboshadow, so you get a clear audit trail. So these are the suggested ones, but these are the rules that are already in place, okay? We can just click on the drop down here, and you can see the information about this is Adobe Reader. So no, we don't want to allow restarts. No, we don't want to uninstall before the upgrade, and we've excluded servers in there. And as I said, everything is tracked, so you can prove to your clients and maybe to auditors exactly what was patched, when, and what devices. Talk about fixing things. Let's also go back into device vulnerabilities. So we've been here before, but this is the page where it's tracking all the vulnerable applications across our estate. And you can notice here, look, there's a fix button here, so we can look at the devices and see what vulnerabilities exist on there. We can also see all the vulnerable applications. So these are the top 5. So I can come in here, example Google Chrome. I can see that's one of my top 5 vulnerable apps. And I can just click on here, and I can get this vulnerable app patched. I can click on Update via Winget repository. I can see all the devices that are affected in my estate, so I can just select all them if I want. And I've also got some more options for the upgrade configuration. So I can force upgrade applications. I can choose another application there, allow device restarts, uninstall before upgrade, and I can even schedule that. And then I simply click on Update, and that will patch all these applications, okay? That's a one-time fix. And from here as well, if I click on here, you notice, look, I can also go straight to the auto fix that we've just talked about. Now it says for Chrome, an auto fix rule already exists. So rather than you spending hours writing scripts or chasing missed updates, you can just come into Roboshadow, see what's wrong, and you can set the rules up with auto fix, or you can go and just update from the Winget repository, and you just let Roboshadow handle it all for you. Now, if you work in an MSP, you will know that clients, they love reports and they love audits. Every quarter, someone asks for proof of patching, compliance evidence for Cyber Essentials, or reassurance before their insurer renews their cyber policy. The problem is for you, you've got to build those reports. You've got to stitch data together from Defender, Intune, and your RMM. It's messy, it's time-consuming, and half the time, you're just hoping that the numbers actually add up. And when it comes to vulnerability management, it's even worse, because those consultant pen test reports, they look impressive. And clients, they start to expect you to produce something as good. That's where Roboshadow makes things so much easier. It takes everything we've seen, the scans, the fixes, the compliance checks, and it turns it into a clean, branded report that makes you look like you've got a full cybersecurity department behind you. It even integrates with PSA and RMM tools, things like Ninja One, Halo, and Autotask. So vulnerabilities can automatically raise tickets for your team to review. Let's take a look. So here's the part that I know clients love, and it also helps your MSP demonstrate your value and helps the client to stay compliant, and that's reporting. So firstly, let's have a look at the branding options. So you can brand the portal with your MSP logo. You can have different logos for different customers, okay? And then we can look at the reporting. So let's start with the compliance reports. All of these compliance reports are available. So we've got HIPAA, SOC 2, right down to Cyber Essentials in the UK, ISO 27001. And you can build out these reports for different clients, okay? So this Cyber Essentials report, here's one I did earlier. Okay, the Cyber Essentials assessment. Okay, and this is a lovely report that we can send to clients, okay? Really helpful. We've also got, if you go back to reports, we've got vulnerability assessment reports. Okay, we can generate that. Here's what I did earlier. Look at this. This is a really good report. We can brand it. Again, I put Beta 365 gone here. And it's a huge report based on vulnerability management for your clients. Imagine your clients receiving one of these, okay? Really, really good. And there's also a AI-generated pen test summary, okay, that reads just like a consultant report. It shows all kinds of things, okay? Going down here again, lots of different things. It shows the attack surface, high-risk vulnerabilities, remediation steps. So what you can do is give clients the same level of insight without paying for this external audit every time, okay? Every line on here, look at all these. It backs back to the raw data. So if an auditor or compliance officer asks for any evidence, you can show exactly when it was detected and when it was resolved, okay? So when it comes to reporting in Roboshadow, there's no longer a need for you to kind of stitch screenshots together from 3 different portals in your RMM and shove it all into a PowerPoint and send it over to your client. You can have these reports automatically exported, send it to the client, and you look a little bit like a security hero, don't you? And also, Roboshadow, a feature they're working on at the moment, which might be really interesting for you. They're rolling out a new AI, big thing. AI is in every product, isn't it? But they're rolling out a new AI virtual CISO, okay? So what it's going to do is it's going to help MSPs interpret results from the scanning and things, prioritize actions, and communicate that risk in plain English. So that's going to be added to the platform very, very soon. So if you're an MSP who's fantastic at patching, but you've not really gone near vulnerability management, this changes everything. You don't need to hire consultants or buy multiple scanners. You don't need to spend days trying to merge all those reports from Defender and Intune. Roboshadow brings it all together. External scans, internal scans, compliance benchmarks, auto-fixing, and client-ready reports, all in one dashboard. It's fast, it's affordable, and it finally makes vulnerability management something that every MSP can offer, not just the big security firms. And guess what? If you're a PAX 8 partner, Roboshadow has already been announced that it's coming to the PAX 8 marketplace in early 2026. So, what are you waiting for? If you want to try Roboshadow yourself, there's a free tier available. Just head over to roboshadow.com and get started. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Look forward to seeing you again soon.